Thank you for listening to MTBC Telling Our Stories. These are the people here at Mount Tabor Baptist Church sharing their story, sharing their experiencing of coming to know Jesus and how he has walked with them through their life. We hope that you would be encouraged. We hope that these stories would point you to Jesus and also open our eyes to see how he's worked in our lives, and that it would encourage us to share our stories with others that we come across with. We pray that these stories would encourage you to share your story with someone that you meet today. And so listen and be encouraged. And thank you again. Welcome back to another MTBC Telling Our Stories. Today, I have Katie Slaton sitting down with us to share her heart, to share her story, what Jesus has done in her life. Katie, I appreciate you coming with your busy schedule and everything else to sit down and share. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so before we really get into the nitty-gritty of your story of what Jesus has done in your life, I like the people to kind of get an idea of who you are. So a picture of who is Katie Slaton. You can share family, hobbies, interests, anything like that.
I'm Katie. I'm the fourth out of 5 kids. 23 years old. I'm a full-time nursing student. I was working full-time pretty much from when I graduated up until I started nursing school. Even like during my prereqs, I was working full-time and a full-time student, but nursing school doesn't really allow that.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4 nieces and 3 nephews and another nephew on the way due in, I think, June or July.
Okay. So it's about to be 4-4?
Yep.
Nice.
For now. There's no telling when Emily and Dylan are going to have another one. I live back at home now. I lived on my own for like almost 2 years, but I'm back at home now because, again, it's hard to work, so it would be very hard to pay rent or whatever. Let's see. Oh, I guess for work, I'm a CNA.
Okay.
I've been a CNA for 5 years. I did home health for a year, and I've worked in the hospital the rest of the time since. I work on a stroke unit.
Oh, okay.
And that patient population is very hard. Physically and mentally, it's very taxing because, I mean, I'm sure most people know, like, stroke patients, depending on how bad the stroke was, like, it can pretty much physically take you out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're doing a lot of heavy lifting and stuff like that, but for the most part, they're very grateful. Like, any other unit I've ever worked on, yes, they're great, but I've never met more appreciative patients than the ones that I work with. And even, like, when the days are hard, having that one or two that is grateful for you and is kind makes all the difference. Let's see, what else?
You got any hobbies? I know you with school. It's just Jake said.
Nursing school.
No, I don't have time for hobbies.
Well, I mean, used to, like, I rode horses for 5 years, and that was, even though, like, I have really bad anxiety, so even riding horses, I was always anxious, like, I'm going to fall off, I'm going to get hurt, I'm going to get bucked off, whatever. But it was like a release for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love animals, but I guess I kind of grew out of that. So now my hobbies really are just, like, hanging out with family and hanging out with the kids. They're my entire world. Like,
yeah.
It's hard for me to, and this sounds crazy to some people even when I say it to my parents, but I can't imagine loving anyone more than I love them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't know. I've always, like, they're my reason for everything that I do. Like, I love them with everything in me.
Mm-hmm.
So every minute that I get to spend with them, I'm with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I hang out with friends some, but we really just, like, go eat or go shopping or something.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I'm sure your siblings and their significant others are appreciative of able to call up Aunt Katie, you know, when they need a break or need a date night or whatever it may be. So that's always a good thing. And, you know, that's part of having a big family, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of the cool perk of it all.
I love having a big family.
Yeah.
Everyone is always shocked, like, when I say I'm the 4th out of 5 and there's so many of us, but I can't imagine growing up any other way. Yeah. Like, I've always said I want a big family because I loved the chaos of growing up in chaos. Like, there was always something to do, always someone to play with. Mm-hmm. So I've always loved that. That's probably why I'm so chaotic.
That stressed me out just saying what you just said. So, but yeah.
No, it's fun.
That's awesome. Well, good. Well, I think that's a good picture of who you are for sure. Do you mind go ahead and sharing how you came to know Jesus?
Um, I feel like that story also is kind of complicated. Like when I was 7 years old, we did a play here. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was called, but me and my mom kind of sat in the back, and Jerry Maw played Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and up in the pulpit, or I guess the baptismal pool,
Mm-hmm.
they had, it wasn't the white cross that's back there now. It was like this big wooden cross, so it looked realistic. And I guess I had never seen like a picture of what Jesus on the cross looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a very like visual and auditory learner.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that makes me emotional. So they had him, what, I don't, it's not called a shawl. Like a white cloth around
Mm-hmm.
his waist, and they had put makeup on him to look like bruises and blood, and he had the crown of thorns on. They hung him up there, and it rocked me
Mm-hmm.
at 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke down. And when I got home that night, I remember my parents were in my room, and I told them I wanted to be saved. So my dad had this little black, it was like, it was a Bible, but it was like I don't know, he'd have to explain it.
Mm-hmm.
But he read some stuff out of that to me and told me how to do it. And so I did, and I asked Jesus into my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And for like a week, I felt different. Like I was, I don't know, more respectful. I just felt different. And
Mm-hmm.
then a week passed, and I kind of went back to how I was before. And I don't think that I wasn't saved
Mm-hmm.
then. I think, I've always heard like having childlike faith and stuff like that, but I don't know if I fully knew what it meant to be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So I do believe that's when I got saved. But when I was 13, we had a quartet come and do like a
Homecoming thing?
yeah, kind of. And at the end, they did like a speaking thing, like when they did their altar call, and he said, you can have like these thick vines over the door of your heart, and all the Lord has to do is come and touch it, and they all fall, and he can walk into your, like, come into your heart. And I don't know why that kind of hit me too. So I went to the altar, and I remember, Pastor Philip thought this was, like, he asked me about it later on why I did this, but my dad was standing by the piano. He wasn't singing yet, but I grabbed him. I don't know why I did it. And we sat at the altar. And I guess you can, like, at that point, since I was already saved, I guess I just rededicated my life to Christ then. So I think that was the point that I really understood what it meant to be a Christian. But I have really bad anxiety. So I've always struggled with, like, am I actually saved? How do I know that I'm actually saved? Like, anytime I mess up or do something wrong, the first thing I think is, oh, well, then I can't be saved because I just did something wrong. So I think I'm constantly in that battle of we're sinners. That's not that it's okay to mess up, but you're not Jesus. You're going to mess up, and that doesn't take away your salvation. And I've always struggled with that, but I do believe I got saved that day when I was 7. And it'll probably be a constant battle for me, wondering all the time if I actually am or not. But there's always little things that he does to remind me that I've got you. Like, you're my child. I've got you, type thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah, those beautiful reminders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that grew up in the church that have similar stories of, they believed in Jesus, they asked Jesus in the heart, they know that they're saved, but then I think comes a moment in most people's lives where they finally say, okay, I'm all in for Jesus. That I'm, I understand what I'm doing. I understand what I'm walking into. So, and it's cool that your dad was there for both. It's a very sweet moment.
Yeah.
Just as you were talking before, you said family is important to you, and it was your family that really led you to Jesus.
Yeah, he's definitely someone. Like, there's several figures in my life that I trust when it comes to, like, biblical knowledge and stuff, but he is by far, without a doubt, like, the one person in my life that I trust when it comes to biblical knowledge. Like, you can ask him anything,
Mm-hmm.
and he will spout off a verse. He knows so much about it, and I trust his knowledge and his wisdom when it comes to stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime I've struggled with it, like we recently had a conversation. We were outside. He had made like a bonfire outside, and we got to talking about it. And I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but he sent me a video, and it was something about, it was something as simple as like, do you know that you love Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
Type something like that. And I don't know, he'll constantly send me stuff of like reminders of, yes, you struggle with this. It's normal to struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom struggles with it,
Mm-hmm.
with questioning, not necessarily questioning her salvation,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but like being sure that that's where you're going
Yeah.
when your time comes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I trust him more than anything.
Yeah.
And so having him by my side through that also helped ease like the anxiety of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, that's awesome. Well, beautiful thing when you got, parents that are pointing you to Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So from that point of 7 years old to 13 to now you're 23, you said, have there been moments in your life that you look back on and be like, Jesus, he was in the boat with me. I can see his fingerprints in this.
yeah. I'm gonna try to not get emotional. So growing up, me and my mom, we are like oil and water. We thank the Lord it's gotten better now. Like the older I've gotten, she's genuinely like my best friend. I tell her anything and everything. But growing up, we had a really rough relationship. So there were times that we would get into big arguments. And there was really only 1 or 2 times that I can remember, like I left. I got a friend to come get me one time. I packed all of my stuff up and I moved out for like 2 or 3 months. And I cried every night. Like I missed them, but I also felt like my presence in that house was more of a burden on them. So I felt like I had hit rock bottom. Little did I know I had not yet. But I remembered leaning on him a lot during that time with the back and forth of, do I go home? Do I stay, away type thing? And I wasn't seeing any of the kids at that point really. And I understand now why they were doing, kind of keeping me from them, because they didn't want the kind of influence that I was at the time around their kids. So I fully understand that now. I don't want to say I was a bad influence, but like I was disrespecting my parents. I wasn't caring how I was treating them or what I was doing, how that was making them feel. So I understand it now, but that was devastating to me to not see them. So at that point, I leaned on him a lot, went back home, things got a little bit better, and then they got bad again. At the time, let's see, I had started working in a hospital, so I'd been graduated for a year and a half, 2 years, and I was in school trying to do prereqs. I've always known that I wanted to be a nurse ever since I was in middle school. So I was doing prereqs, but I met a boy where I was working, and within a month, me and my parents had gotten in a fight. I moved out. I moved in with a friend, and then pretty much within a month or 2 of meeting him, I moved into his house or his apartment. And a way that I knew that, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel like another way to kind of know you're saved is when you still hear his voice and feel his conviction. And every day that I lived in that apartment, I knew that it was wrong and that I was doing something wrong. In the beginning, like our relationship was fine, and then it turned into at first it was just mentally and emotionally very abusive. And then slowly it became physical, and it was very back and forth. Like sometimes I felt like no one loved me more than he did, and other times I felt like I was worthless. And I had put all my worth in worldly things. And so at that point, I had, again, not fully hit rock bottom, but I was on my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like there was no way out. I felt like I was such a disappointment to my parents for living with a boy outside of marriage. And I was lying to them, obviously. And I just felt like he was the only way that I was going to continue to kind of live my life in a way that I enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up dropping out of school because of kind of how abusive that whole situation was. Like I didn't have a car at the time because I didn't pay for that car, so I couldn't take it from the house. And so I had to rely on using his car if I wanted to go to work or to school. And there were days that he wouldn't let me go to school for whatever reason. So I ended up having to drop out. I think about 6 or 7 months into that, we broke up and I moved back home. I can't remember if I don't think I started going back to school at the time, but I ended up having to leave the hospital that I was working at. I switched to Prisma in Greenville, and that was all fine. And then me and him reconnected again. And me and my parents got in a fight again, obviously. And I moved in with my grandparents for a couple months, and then they did something that made me mad, I guess. And so that same night, I looked for an apartment, and me and him were in contact, so we decided to move into an apartment together. And from day one, it was the most exhausting, mentally draining, abusive thing I've ever gone through in my life. Like, I never had that example set for me as a kid. My dad never put his hands on my mom. They would fight, obviously, they what married couples do.
Mm-hmm.
But it never escalated to the point that it did with me and him. Mm-hmm. And again, I felt like there was no way out. Mm-hmm. I felt like everything that was happening to me was my fault, and that it defined my worth. Mm-hmm. And that basically I felt like I deserved it. So from about April to August, he lived there, and I finally started kind of getting a backbone, which it's hard to believe that I didn't at that time. But because I've never been afraid to
voice your
right.
Yeah.
But and I feel like that even right there shows how the kind of situation I was in where I felt like I couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't be you.
Yeah. And like I was scared to speak up for myself. And he ended up moving out. Found out, he was cheating on me, and basically, like, I don't know, he drained the life out of me during that time. And that is someone that I do not recognize when I was going through that. And I hope and pray that I'm never in that situation again. Mm-hmm. But after he moved out, I felt like my world had ended. Even as bad as it was during that time, I felt like there was I didn't want to be here anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was living alone, and not that I wasn't talking to my parents, but the relationship was not the same, because even though I was lying to them, telling them that he didn't live there, they're not dumb. Mm-hmm. Like, they knew what I was doing. And so the relationship was not estranged, but there was a strain on it. Mm-hmm. And I would go home every now and then. Like, I didn't have a washer and dryer, so I had to go do laundry at their house, and we would talk a little bit, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I hate talking about this, but because it's seeing where I was then and seeing where I am now, like, it's embarrassing to know or to remember, for one, that I let all that happen to me, but two, what I did as a result of it. Like, I guess I was trying to numb the pain. Like, I started drinking a lot, like, every night in my apartment by myself. and it did nothing for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
the next morning I would wake up, feel terrible, go to work, do it all again.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like it's embarrassing to look back on that, but I know that that is a part of my story. And if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was crying myself to sleep every night, wanting to go home, couldn't get out of this lease. He had drained $4,000 out of my, or he had maxed out both my credit cards, so I was $4,000 in debt that I had no way to pay back.
Mm-hmm.
My rent was ridiculous for where I was living. I was working, yes, so I was making money, but I had dug myself so deep in a hole, I couldn't get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a car that barely worked. I didn't barely have money for groceries. Like that point in my life was where I was at rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I couldn't. I always knew my parents were there for me and would help me the best way they could, but they're not enablers. They've never been.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. They raised me my whole life. You know, this is what the Bible says. This is the choices that we believe you should make. But you're an adult now. Whatever choices you make, there are going to be consequences, and you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to come and save you. So from August till the next April, that was my rock bottom. And I was afraid I was never going to come out of it. Once my lease kind of started coming to an end, I really don't remember a turning point during that time. Like, I can't say for sure, you know, this is what happened that made me want to get my life back on track. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But my lease ended. I went back home. And somewhere between that January and that April is when I decided I want to go back to school. Like I don't make a lot of money being a CNA. I want better for my life. I want to try and set myself up for my future kids and my future family. Basically, I just want better for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go back, finish my prereqs. And I think during that time, like I'd gone to my parents' house one night for something, laundry or food, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a book. I think it was by Lisa TerKeurst, and it was like a 50-day devotional that you're supposed to do in the morning and at night. And if you know me at all, I'm not a morning person. So I struggled getting up before work because I have to get up at 5 a.m. Like, it was a struggle for me to be like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 4:30 and do this devotional. So I did it for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do the morning and the night at night.
Mm-hmm.
Because for one, I can't focus that early in the morning. And every single night when I would open that book and do it, it felt like it was speaking directly to me about something that had happened that day or that week or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was the turning point,
Mm-hmm.
like knowing he hasn't left me, even though I've literally been running the opposite direction for this whole 2-3 years, whatever it was. He never left my side, and he's still here. And maybe that's when I kind of hit that, you know, I felt like I was disappointing God. And so it was time to get my life back on track, do what I know he's always called me to do. I know I'm called to this career,
Mm-hmm.
and put that chapter of my life behind me,
Mm-hmm.
heal from it,
Mm-hmm.
learn from it,
Mm-hmm.
and never fall back into that. And so I moved back home. The relationship between my parents at this point in my life is probably the best it's ever been. Same with my siblings.
Yeah.
If anyone knows me and my sister, we have very much not liked each other our whole lives. And within the last year, that's completely changed.
Yeah.
I also view her probably as one of my best friends. Like, I go to her about everything. And so it's clear to me now, like, everything in your life happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say he put me in that situation, because I don't believe that God does stuff like that, but he allowed me to put myself in that situation, because I truly believe without it, I would have never grown up.
Mm-hmm.
And made the changes I needed to make to be where I'm at now. And even though I'm not done, I've learned from those mistakes, and now I know kind of what to look out for, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It shows so much maturity and growth for you to say the phrase, I know that God allowed me to go through that so I can be who I am today. That right there speaks volumes. And for you to also say, I needed to heal and then learn. I mean, what what do we go through if we don't learn from those mistakes and those failures, but also the healing? But that healing only comes from the Lord, which is what you were just talking about. You're in a time of your life where you're trying to get back to Him, and then He's just through a devotion book, a morning and night devotion book, where He's just meeting you where you were. So it's just, I know it's not easy going through those things, and we never want to go through those things, but to give testimony to what God's done, I mean, it's incredible, Katie, just where you are now. And I've told you this, before and everything, of super proud of where you've come from and where you are now. It's always cool as youth pastor when get to see you from, I think you were a sophomore when I got here, to, the growth and, like, I want to follow Jesus. I want to do what He's called me to do. I know I want to be a nurse. There's some bumps along the way, but I'm on track for that. So I just want to say, man, it's awesome seeing what God's done in your life. So going through all that, I know you said you had a devotion that the Lord was speaking through, but were there other verses or, maybe scripture that, the Lord has given to you through that time, or maybe a life verse that you have?
I think... So when I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and I have really bad ADD, like horrible. And I think in like 5th or 6th grade, I had started, like, I was scoring like a first or second grader on state test because I couldn't focus enough during the test to do well. And my parents, like, we talked to my pediatrician, and I guess, I don't know if it's different now, but at the time, like, how they diagnosed ADD, because there's not like a brain scan or blood test you can do. Mm-hmm. They sent out a survey. Like, I had to do one, my parents had to do one, and my teachers had to do one. So they did one. I think the school brought in a specialist. Come to find out, he wasn't even testing me for, like, ADD. He was testing me for a learning disability. So it was pointless. But during that whole time when we were trying to figure that out and get me put on meds, like, I don't know why it made me feel like something was wrong with me. So I remember one night, I don't remember if I was in the choir yet or not, because I don't think you could do it. Well, I guess I was in youth if I was in 7th or 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I think I was in choir at the time. We were in choir practice. Pastor Philip was still here. And so I left choir practice and went in there to talk to him, and I was just sobbing, like uncontrollably sobbing. And I don't even remember what all I was saying. But basically just that, like, I didn't like the way the meds made me feel, but I knew I needed them because they did help at the time. It made me feel like I was dumb that the school had to bring in this specialist, and I had to be pulled out of class for an hour once a week or however often it was to have these tests done. And I was embarrassed and whatever else. And so he gave me a verse to memorize. And that verse when anyone ever asks me what my favorite verse is, or, what you just said about, a verse that has stuck with you, Proverbs 3:5-6 I always come back to that verse. And it genuinely does kind of bring me back to His plan is greater. Mm-hmm. Trust Him.
Yeah.
Because I struggle now too with, like, sometimes when school is hard or work is taking a toll on me, I'll go back to, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to do. Maybe this isn't the career that He placed me in, like, this is too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to pass school. This is too much. Or even like, and maybe it's like leftover insecurities from what I went through, but you know, all my siblings were married pretty much by my age and or already had one kid. So I think I struggle now too with, I'm never gonna get married. Like I've passed kind of that sweet spot where you meet your spouse and you get married, and I know deep down I haven't. Like I'm very young. But I, like, that thought consumes me that I'll never get to be a wife and a mom. And I always put myself back to that verse. And it literally starts with trust in the Lord. And I feel like that's not the core of being a Christian, but like,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Core of walking with Jesus for sure.
like trusting in his plan and his timing. I pray every day on the way to work. Or like even, I don't pray as often as I should. But like if I'm driving to an exam or when I get off the exit to go to work, I'll pray from the time I get off the exit to the time I put my car in park. And that's something I always say is, Lord, help me to trust in your timing and in your plan and know that your plan is greater. And to have peace in knowing that when things are supposed to happen, they will in your timing. And I think all of that stems from that verse that he gave me. And I don't think he knew at the time that it would be something that would kind of start to heal that piece of me. But it definitely did. And there's another verse in Psalm, I think it's Psalm 55, about casting your anxieties on the Lord. And like I've already said, I don't want to call it crippling anxiety, but sometimes it is. And I'm anxious about everything. And remembering that verse, like you can cast your anxieties on him. He will take that burden from you. And you have to know that he's with you during those times of anxiety or fear or heartbreak or whatever. And that I don't know, that's just something that's stuck with me and that I try to keep in the back of my head when I'm really struggling with those thoughts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy / really a God thing that the Lord gave you a verse in 7th grade that has really been kind of the heartbeat of your life, navigating through everything you were just talking about of relationships and, am I worth anything to, is this school, is this really where I'm trying to be? 7th grade. At 13 years old, God gave you a verse that he knew you would need at 23.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
And that's what I mean, like looking back at those times of feeling like I was all alone. And then it's almost like little God winks. Like, even as this is such a silly, like, example, but there was one day I had a really horrible day at work. Like, was walking to my car crying. It was horrible. And I got to my car and there was a note card in my like wiper blade, and I thought I'd gotten a ticket because I used to park where I wasn't supposed to because it was a shorter walk. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got my first ticket. Because when you get a ticket at Prisma and you work there, it gets automatically sent to your manager and you get a written like write up. Yeah. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to get wrote up. But I picked it up and it was just like this little index card, and someone had wrote in highlighter, Jesus loves you, with hearts on it. And I got in my car and sobbed. And it's
a different type of sobbing.
Yes. It's stuff like that. Like, he's there even when you don't feel him.
Yeah. And
that's something that sometimes is hard to see or hard to feel. But then he gives you those little sprinkles like, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Even though you don't feel me, or you're maybe not leaning on me the way that you should. I'm still right here. Yeah. I haven't gone anywhere. Yeah. And that's a very comforting feeling.
He meets us where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, even shows up when we need it the most.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So look, I'm going to cut that one out. So someone's sitting here listening to your story or watching your story, however they're doing this. What is one thing you want them to know about your relationship with Jesus?
I don't know the best way to put it. I guess, like, my relationship with Jesus has constantly been evolving. Like, it's not linear. And I hate to say that, but it's very up and down. Like, when life's not going good, I'm not that I am angry at him, but I'm questioning, like, God, why are you letting me go through this? Or why is this happening to me? Or why am I not where I feel like I'm supposed to be in life? But then I come back to, I am where I'm supposed to be in life because this is where you placed me. You've allowed whatever happened to me within this timing.
You need to say that louder for the people in the back right there. That was
like, it's hard when you're going through a hard time. It's hard to think that he's doing something through that. But then you come out on the other side and you're like, wow, I wouldn't be where I am today without all those trials I went through. I feel like right now in my life, I'm the strongest in my faith I've ever been. I'm not afraid to, like, just last weekend when I was at work, I'm not going to, like, violate HIPAA or anything, so nobody freak out. But I had a patient who had 30 minutes before I walked in the room had got devastating news. And I've never, you can ask Pastor Philip, there was one day I was talking to him about a patient that I felt very heavily in my heart, like, needed someone with biblical wisdom to talk to. And at the time I was like, that's not me. I need someone else to come up here and talk to him. And I asked him permission if I could message my pastor, and he said yes. And I don't know if Pastor Philip couldn't come up there at the time or what the situation was, but Pastor Philip texted me and he said, I want you to pray for him. And I was like, I can't. I'm not comfortable doing that. I can't. And so I didn't. And I wish I had, but at the time I wasn't comfortable with it. And when I walked into the room last Saturday, I could just tell something was wrong. And so I asked him, and I don't know why, but people open up to me very quickly. And so they just kind of spilled everything out. And I guess because of, stuff that we went through with my mom within the last year or two, I just feel a different, maybe connection's not the right word.
Empathy towards.
Yeah. And it's not that I'm not empathetic towards all my patients, but there's just something different about that patient population. And so I just felt this really strong tug, and I wasn't afraid. And I said, how'd I phrase it? I just said, I don't want to offend either of you, and I don't know what your beliefs are, but if you're willing, I would really like to pray for both of you. And they both just started sobbing, and they were like, please, please, absolutely. So I shut the door, and I knelt by them, and I held both their hands, and I prayed for them. And that was the first time I saw him kind of be vulnerable in a way. Like, he had been very stoic and tried to kind of put a wall up, and that was the first time I saw him kind of put that wall down and I don't know, just feel more at ease in a way. And they both were just very grateful. And then the next morning, I went in and the nurse was in there doing a med pass. And that nurse has been open to me and another friend that she doesn't believe in Jesus. And so before I walk out of any room, I always just say, do you guys need anything? Can I get you anything? And his wife asked if I could pray for them again. And my heart sank because I was like, oh my gosh, like, this nurse is going to judge me. Like,
yeah.
Am I overstepping kind of thing? But I wasn't going to say no. So I was like, absolutely. So I shut the door and prayed for him. And in the middle of it, I just felt such peace. Like, who cares if she's judging me? I'm not ashamed of being a Christian. If anything, when people do, like, try to make you feel like silly for believing in something you can't see, I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I have that strong of a faith in something, even though I can't see it, because in a way I can. Like, I've seen where he's pulled me from to what he's pulled me to.
Out of the darkness into light.
Yeah. And so after that, I texted my parents because I had told them about the day before when I had prayed for him. And my mom was like, I think God probably planted her in that room at that time for you to be a seed.
Yeah.
And so I guess all of that to say, like, for one, I don't like the word religion.
Mm-hmm.
I guess your faith and your walk is not linear,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But also, don't be ashamed. Like, be proud of being a Christian. Be loud about it, because the world we live in is scary and sad at what we've come to, and the world's never going to change if there's not people that are proud to be the change.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess just be loud and proud about your faith,
mm-hmm.
because that's something used to that I would never, not that I would hide the fact that I wear a little Jesus on my badge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to tell people I'm a Christian.
Like the tiny Jesus
Mm-hmm.
thing? That's awesome.
And, like, I'm not afraid now. And not that I was afraid then, but I don't know. Be proud of what God's done in your life and allow that to be a testimony, because you never know who needs to hear it or what someone's going through.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be ashamed if your story's not linear.
Yeah.
There's the hills and valleys of life.
And I know I said, like, my story's embarrassing, because in a way to me it is, that I had the raising that I had and then went on to make some of the choices that I made. But I feel like everyone has something in their story that they're embarrassed by.
Mm-hmm.
Don't necessarily be embarrassed by it. You can be, you can use that as a lesson to, like, even when me and Sawyer, my oldest niece, we've talked about it, because she met him and she kind of knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were times when she was younger that she would ask me, what happened to him? And at the time she was too young
Mm-hmm.
for me to say anything. But now, like, I use it as a lesson to her, like, whenever you do get to the age where you're
dating and all that,
this is what to look out for. This is what to be careful of.
To find guys that love Jesus.
Yeah. Like, that needs, and my mom has always said, like, both my parents really have always said, whenever I talk about I have no interest in dating right now. I have nursing school is my boyfriend.
You don't even have hobbies right now.
No. So, but if ever I'm like, oh, this so-and-so contact me, whatever, the first question she'll ask me is, does he love Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And long before that, I don't know. How am I supposed to know?
Mm-hmm.
And she would always say, that's the first question you need to ask. And I'm like, that's embarrassing. I'm not going to, that's
Mm-hmm.
embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is literally the first question I ask. Do you know Jesus? Because
that sets the foundation for everything else.
If they don't, for one, you should be able to, it should be reflecting off of them,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like. But if they don't, there's no potential for that relationship kind of thing. And so that's, I don't know, I've used stuff that I've gone through as a lesson, especially to, like, even like Anna Grace. I use what I've gone through to try and help protect the people that I love from also going through that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it's embarrassing, but it's a part of my story that I can't erase.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a chapter that has closed, but it's a chapter that I can help others learn from and hopefully prevent them from going through that kind of hurt.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Sweet. Well, Kate, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your willingness to come and share your heart and share your story. Really, truly what Jesus has done, where he's brought you from, and where he's brought you to. So I'm excited to see how your story encourages people, how it affects those that hear and listen. So thank you.